All right, it's dark, but
But
whew, another season in the books. Hello, everyone. I'm Lonnie,
I'm Amberlicious.
and we are Untitled Nerd Network, brought to you by Infinity Flux and your local Satanist at Chattanooga, Tennessee. Watching the chat just in case anybody wants to hop on tonight and say hello. Um, Talking Dead is not going to be happening for about an hour, so
Maybe people actually want to.
yeah, that's the thing. We're the
Who
only show in town
knows?
right now.
Who knows?
So,
This was a good episode.
another season in the books, yeah.
Like,
Um,
because it was going to be hard to top last episode.
yeah.
But this was still really good.
This didn't have like a finale vibe to it. Like last
Yeah,
week.
last week was definitely had more of a finale vibe, but it was still good. It still had some good story.
Yeah, oh, yeah, no doubt. And we knew that just judging by all the radio stuff that's been going on, we knew something was going to happen.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, that was nice at the end.
Even if everybody in the world wasn't talking about it, I still would have been like, "Oh, something's going to happen on the ham radio." Now we have radios among the communities to where now they can talk to each other. That's going to come in handy when the whispers descend upon them.
Right.
What was this? Okay, first off, we had snow. This episode, we had just lots of stuff. Um, I got
This blizzard put the storm of '93 to shame.
yeah. And there's a couple of things that just in a nutshell, this episode, Negan kind of proved himself. They
Hey,
were,
David.
hey David, welcome to the stream. We spoiler alert for everybody. This spoiler alert through the entire season.
Yep.
We're going to be talking about a little bit of everything, um, because we're going to be reviewing this episode, but I also want to talk about the season as a whole. Since this is probably the last Walking Dead stream that we'll do
There's
for
the
a little while.
cats.
Um, so we had two stories. We had the Kingdom people were headed towards Alexandria.
Because the kingdom went to shit, literally. Like,
Yeah.
their pipes were already having issues. They're old and all that. And then it just couldn't hold up to the winter weather.
Welcome to the stream, Matthias. Hello. Yeah. So the Kingdom.
And the ending was really good. By
Yeah.
the way.
The ending was good. The Kingdom absolutely went to crap. I want to say spoilers. Spoilers. You've been warned. So okay. So we had the Kingdom fell apart. They leave. They head to Alexandria, and then you also have Alexandria, who are kind of holed up, and you get to see they basically the weather had destroyed their chimney, and so they
Yeah.
had to move from like one house to another. While they're moving one house to the other in the middle of this hard blizzard, which it was a lot harder blizzard there than it was at where the kingdom was, like where they were going.
Yeah,
It was
just
a
going
lot
from
harder.
house to house, it was harder. But I mean, that's weather. I mean, it might be worse in one area than it is in another. That's pretty legit.
They, I've actually, I've been at a race. I went to a race at Charlotte, and the track is 1.5 miles around. And it was interesting that it was sunny and so hot that you could barely breathe.
Mm-hmm.
We were sitting on the front stretch right at the start finish line. Over in turn two, we could see it pouring down rain.
Yeah,
It was
I've
crazy.
seen stuff like that. Like when we lived in Marion County, my mom said, "Go outside. It's about to rain," and roll up my windows, and I did. And I heard something, and I was like, "What is that?" And I looked next door, and it was raining. Like,
Yeah, wow. So this episode, we had all that. Negan, basically what happened is Judith was kind of put in charge of watching Daryl's dog.
yeah,
So the dog had gotten loose before the blizzard started, but of course, nobody's going to run off and look for the dog.
Yeah.
Dog's on his own, sorry.
pretty
and so-
much.
While everybody's like holding a rope, making sure nobody gets,
Lost. That's how
separated.
thick it was.
yeah. And
The
so
wind was that bad. And
they hear dog off in the distance. And
of course, Judith took off.
yeah, Judith let go of the rope and just boogied on after. Well, Negan is
Not
like,
thinking
crap.
twice. He lets go and starts taking off.
He's the only one that did. That I mean, is
I
that
mean,
not?
he did it before anyone really could process what happened,
Yeah.
honestly. He was more instinctive. Because nobody expected, and I'm not sure that everyone heard the dog.
Hey, we have Chelsea
Hey,
Mall. I
Chelsea.
hope I got your name right. Says from upstate New York. My sister lives a quarter mile from me and gets more snow than I do some days.
Um, yeah,
um, that actually that was very
that's the Tennessee Valley right there.
that was an indication. According to the story here, God, that darkness is on one hand it's really bothering me, but on the other hand I think it looks kind of cool. Um, but
Anyway.
what ended up happening is I mean they live up in Washington D.C. That's about the area.
Sorry.
They live like basically a day's ride away from Washington D.C. So that's kind of what we're working with. Dude, Negan is climbing up my favorite character ladder after this episode is what David said.
He's always been one of our
Negan
favorites.
Negan was my favorite character
Before he was even on the show.
before they even announced it. Like I was just like about the time, honest to God, it didn't set in. It didn't become real for me until the day that Rick and Daryl met Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happened, I was like, everybody else is like, oh, we're going to get to the other communities. And I'm like, no, Negan. Like, I was going on about that forever.
You have. You did.
So, Negan is definitely, has been, and always will be my favorite character on this show until they finally get rid of him, which I hope doesn't happen. I hope that he kind of becomes the lead eventually. I know they're not going to just throw him into that.
Right.
But I realistically think that, I think eventually Daryl is going to kick the bucket. And I think Negan will take over as the lead. We'll see. I don't know because they're going so far away from the comics at this point.
Who the hell knows what's going to happen?
I can't even tell you.
They might all die next week of natural causes at this point.
But this episode was sweet. I mean, you had the Kingdom people with Daryl, Carol, Ezekiel, and all their crew. They had Lydia, and they had to cross over into Whisperer territory to be able to get to where they needed to go.
I wanted to choke Ezekiel when he asked Daryl to leave.
Yeah, Ezekiel actually made it a point to Anne Marie says, "See you tomorrow."
Oh, I'll see you tomorrow, Miss Ann.
Yeah, Ezekiel, I couldn't believe that. That caught me off guard. He actually told Daryl, "Hey, things are kind of rocky between me and Carol. I need you to leave." I'm like, "Whoa, dude!" Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's kind of paraphrasing, but that was what he said.
No, that is what he said.
And
he said they just needed to be him and her, and I'm like, because everybody wants to say Carol and Daryl, Carol and Daryl. No, they don't have that kind of bond.
I see it almost as a brother sister or
yes.
mother son in a way.
Yeah, it's platonic. It's completely platonic. It's not romantic in any sort of sense.
Yeah.
And for him to say that to somebody that's just platonic, it just rubbed me the wrong way.
The fact that he did that, I think, pushed Carol to where she left.
Yep.
At the very end of the episode, Carol leaves him.
Because she knew.
Yeah.
She asked Daryl, and Daryl tried to play it off, and she knew he was lying.
She's known Daryl long enough to know when he's full of crap.
Yeah.
And, she knows. She's one of those she has that intuition. She knows. She knows everything.
She does. You can't freaking lie to her about nothing.
I really do hope Daryl or Negan can become part of the community too. That's kind of where they're headed.
Mm-hmm.
I think season 10, now that we're done with season 9, I think season 10 is really going to be the Negan show. I think we're going to see more of Negan. I think really...
We'll see more of him becoming more involved and everybody getting used to him. And
after season 7 and 8, we needed a break from Negan. As much as I hate it,
well, yeah.
They needed a break because he was just... I mean, think about it. Even though his group, the Saviors, had basically taken over and were, killing people left and right and had, had it, he actually wasn't on the show all that much. Remember, we'd go 3 or 4 episodes without seeing him, and I was like, oh, when's Negan coming back?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing though. Whenever Jeffrey Dean Morgan is on camera, he steals the show.
Every
Like
time.
he's the center of the whole thing, and so I mean, yeah, he can't help it. He's got that magnetic personality,
Hmm.
and even when he's being the most evil person on the entire show's history.
Even when he's trying to be nice, like it just comes out so raw and blunt.
Oh my god!
You know.
I wish I could remember. I can't remember exactly, but in the comic book, spoiler alert for the comic. This is about a year old, 2 year old spoiler. Andrea died. She got bit by a
Mhm.
zombie, and of course, you know she was married to Rick at the time, and so everybody is coming. She's laying on her deathbed. Everybody knows she's gonna die, and everybody's like coming and just saying their piece to her, and they let Negan come and say, "Hey, bye" to her.
Mhm.
And I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was something like, "Oh, I hate that a fine woman like you is gonna kick the bucket," or so. It was something. Just it's Negan.
Sneaking. Yeah.
I don't think it was quite like that, but it was something that was just so out of place and just so unnecessary. But at the same
Like how
time,
he's calling the doctor the baby daddy doctor.
yeah. Well,
Like there's no reason for it, but he just does it. He just
no, he calls him not the baby daddy.
no, that's what he called.
Oh, the doctor. Okay, yeah, the doctor is the actual father.
Oh,
Okay, yeah, he was calling Ezekiel father, not the father.
no, uh, the father, Gabriel.
Yeah.
You said Ezekiel. Gabriel.
Oh,
He's calling Gabriel, not the father. Father.
that is funny. Yeah, that's what David
Just
said.
for
He said
no reason.
he said I apologize, father, not the father. I mean, there's a reason. There's a reason you can go on YouTube right now and just type in Negan's best lines and be treated to like a 30-minute video
Yes,
of
he
just
has
him.
some of the best one-liners.
And
It's
most of that is borrowed from the comic book.
Mhm.
And but
Father,
they
not
did.
the father.
It kind of makes me wonder how much Jeffrey Dean Morgan actually. I don't know how much they pulled from the comic. I don't know how much was in the script. I don't know how much Jeffrey Dean Morgan did on his own. There's no telling.
I could tell. I could see him ad-libbing. Absolutely.
But
What about when Judith told him his leg looked like shit? That was great.
that was a quote. that
Right.
wasn't paraphrasing. And she's all the time getting onto him for like using
Swearing.
language.
But it was just him and her when he was rescuing, and she
Yeah.
was like, "Your leg looks like shit."
I think I cannot wait to see how season 10, the dynamic of the two of them, because there's really like a father daughter vibe there.
Mm-hmm.
He's really kind of taken over and become that figure that she needs. And I seriously cannot wait to see how.
Well, I mean, because he's done nothing but been straight up with her ever since. Any questions she's asked, anything. And he's the only person that has done that until recently, because even Michonne didn't tell her everything.
Yeah, he never really worried about her feelings or worried
Mm-hmm.
about anything. And he even told her some of the grisly details of the Savior,
Mm-hmm.
Alexandria War and all the communities and stuff. Of course, it was kind of alluded to. He didn't tell her about him, like bashing in Glenn's head and stuff.
Right.
But I think she knows.
She knew
She
something
knows-
bad
yeah.
happened. She might have not known all the details. Right in my ear. Purring away.
But
Anyway.
yeah, David's all like going crazy over Freya being up
Cat.
there doing.
Where? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's like in the MCU movies. There's always a Stan Lee cameo. Like for ours, there's always a
The
Freya.
Freya cameo, yeah.
So the very, very end of this episode, that's basically the episode. There was a lot of snow. They had a really neat little scene where they were trying to cross the river, and zombies started coming up
Out of the snow,
snow.
man. That was amazing. That was so good.
because we never really saw the whispers during the meat of the episode
till
until
the
the
end.
very end. But you knew they were out there.
It
And
felt like it, didn't it?
What's this freaking story about at the end where Beta is like, whipping Alpha's arm.
I'm not real sure
I
what that
didn't.
was about.
I don't know.
I don't know if he was intentionally trying to draw blood on her to attract zombies or what.
You think they would have that done to somebody else? I
She
don't
probably
know.
likes it.
Maybe she was. Yeah, maybe that. Maybe she was. Maybe she was. Maybe trying to say that somebody attacked her to try to get her people riled up. I don't think so. I don't know.
No.
I don't know. Maybe
My theory's better than that one.
maybe they said something that we missed. I'm probably gonna have to get on and read some of the reviews and stuff after the fact. But
Well,
yeah,
he was like, he said it was.
oh, David said Negan did tell her about Glenn and Abraham.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Well,
I
how
didn't
about
catch that because I remember she, Michonne
She
asked
was
him.
so pissed. Yeah.
Well, she asked him, you know, oh, you bet you didn't tell him about Glenn and Abraham, did you? And he kind of alluded to, you know, maybe I didn't, but I told her enough or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know exactly because I personally don't remember him saying that exactly to her, or it being mentioned. But I have been known to miss a few things. Um, so the very end, they were alluding to this whole radio thing, the ham radios, and then once they made it to Alexandria, oh, everybody's got a radio now. We're talking to each other. Ezekiel's on the radio at the beginning and the end. You know, it's kind of the bookend of the episode.
Yeah,
And as he
he's
gets
talking
up,
to Judith.
yeah, he was talking to Judith. So when he gets up and he leaves, you hear a female voice on the radio. You know,
Asking
is
if
asking.
anybody out there.
Yep. And in the comic book, Eugene was the one constantly on the radio, and he finally heard from somebody, and the woman's name was Stephanie, and she was from the Commonwealth. And that's I love the way that they're doing this because what you're gonna do, or what a lot of people are thinking now is, oh my God, you know, this new uh, civilization or whoever they're hearing from, that's going to be the story next season. Nope. What's going to end up happening is they're going to go through at least half a season or more of Whisperer.
War.
Yeah, well, see, I'm very surprised. I don't know
God.
exactly how the first half of season
Can I
10 is
tell
going to
you
go.
how much I love seeing those masks hanging up in the tree? It was so cool.
Oh, that was very creepy.
Love it.
They, hey, Sammy, welcome to our live recap of the Walking Dead season finale. Oh, by the way, it is episode 131 overall. We've done 131 of these. The episode was
Yay.
The Storm, season 9, episode 16, the season finale of season 9. Yeah, what happens in the comics, and it almost seems like nobody cares, because this blizzard didn't happen quite like this in the
Yeah.
comics. They had snow and stuff, but in the comics, it's like the pack scene happened. Everybody in the towns were angry and wanted to go to war with the Whisperers. And Rick was like, no, we'll die, because he saw the giant
Yeah.
herd. And so I think I think season 10 is going to be a lot of character driven development. People are still mad. They're wanting to go fight the Whisperers. And, But, you know, this blizzard happened right after the fact, and they
So
wasn't
they
able to
couldn't.
focus on it. I think the first half of season 10 is going to be, number one, probably Negan. I think that we're going to see a lot of the Negan stuff go on. Number two, we're going to be seeing a lot of the communities angry. Number one, they're going to be overcrowded
Yeah.
because the
The
entire
kingdom is no more.
kingdom had to relocate everywhere. And so we're going to see a lot of people, they're going to be crowded, they're going to be angry that their loved ones have died. And what Rick did, Rick is still alive in the comics. What Rick did, through the advice of Negan, is the people had to have somewhere to focus their energy because they were starting to rise up against Rick. Oh, you're not letting us go to war and avenge our fallen brothers and all this. And so
Right.
Rick decided, hey, let's create a military. Let's create a military. Let's let people train. Let's hang up anti-whisperer propaganda on the walls. Let's let people know, hey, we're fighting, you know, we're training, getting ready to go after the whispers, and just kind of giving them somewhere to focus all that pent-up frustration. And so, lo and behold, the Negan eventually escapes, which I don't know, that so much is going to be different next season. Negan eventually escapes, And as a gesture of goodwill to Rick, he kills Alpha because he finds out about how they do things.
Yeah.
And he's not a real big fan of the whole sexual assault rape thing. And so he kills Alpha, beheads her, holds up her head, and takes it back to Rick. Well, then, with Alpha dead, there's nobody holding the Whisperers back in check. And Beta takes over and just unleashes everything on them. Like the whole herd and everything. They eventually overcome it. But, I mean, it's crazy. And I'm very much, I really think that, you know how All Out War in season 8 went on way too long?
Hold on. He's got a badge that says anniversary follower. Derek does. I just thought that was cool. Sorry.
We've actually had a couple of those, but he's only about the
seen it.
second or third one I've seen. I'm not really sure what that means.
I guess they've been following for a while.
Yeah, it's probably they've been at least a year
Mm-hmm.
or something. That's pretty cool, though. Good to have
It
you
is neat.
around, Derek.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've talked to you. But yeah, the episode was amazing, and I really think that they'll be able to. I think season 10 is going to be amazing. And one of the things that I've been telling everybody, first off, what's your rating for this episode?
For this episode? Give it a 10.
Yeah, this gets a solid 10. It didn't have any of those major moments that threw it into 11 territory, but 10 was. This was a very solid episode. And I think
Considering what it followed, it's pretty good.
Oh yeah, this is going to end up being. This is. I haven't had time to sit and think on it for a long time, but this season, in my opinion, is the best season of The Walking Dead we've ever had.
Yep. Totally is.
And you know what is sad
Because this is really their comeback season.
Yeah. And they came back with a vengeance. The woman, Angela Kang, who's running the show now, holy crap. She actually was a co-writer of this episode, and Greg Nicotero was the director.
Okay.
Like, I picked that up watching the opening. But, oh, yeah, he's been a follower of the page for 3 years, like, dang near since the very beginning.
Yay!
I didn't see the 3.
Okay,
I guess
I
it's
can
tiny.
barely see the 3. If you hadn't said it was a 3, I would have never known.
Just thought it was like a little shield or something.
Yeah.
The,
Tiny, tiny.
This season has, honest to God, been the best season of The Walking Dead. And what was sad is I heard Monday or Tuesday that last episode, the Pike scene, probably the biggest episode of the whole season, had the lowest ratings of any episode
Really?
in the history of The Walking Dead.
That was such a good episode.
It was.
Though.
It was widely considered one of the best episodes ever,
Oh my
and it had the
God.
lowest ratings. People who dropped off in like season 7 and 8 are not wanting to come back, but what they don't realize is they are missing the show at its best.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of people like following in forums and stuff. They're like, "Oh, this show sucks. I'm not going to watch it anymore." And I'm like, if you're saying the show sucks right now, you're not watching it.
Pretty much.
Like seriously, because
Pretty much.
you can't say, "Hey, the show
I've had
sucked
so
in
many
season
people
7."
be like, "Oh, I quit watching it after this," or "I quit watching it after that." Blah 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 blah. I'm like, y'all are missing it right now.
You know what? I need to like
Y'all
make
are
a
missing
video
out.
tomorrow. I need to sit down and make a video, and it's like, "Hey, if you quit watching after Negan's first appearance, here are the 5 key episodes that you need to watch that are good before you can pick back up with season 9."
That's true.
And it'll be like, hey, these over these 2 seasons, this is like the 4 or 5 episodes that you need to watch to get the major things out of the way.
True.
You know, like the death of Carl, and you know the end of All Out War, and like realistically, you could skip most of season 8.
Probably.
You could watch the first episode of season 8. And the mid-season finale, the
And then the
mid-season
finale.
premiere, and then the
Yeah.
season finale. Those 4 episodes on season 8, you could get by with watching a quarter of season 8, and it would be fine.
Yep.
But you can't miss an episode of this season. This season has been firing on all cylinders. It's been amazing. But it's like I was saying, you could skip all but just a handful of episodes from season 7 and 8. And come back at this and be fine. Because I'll go ahead and tell you, if I was to ever binge these again, I would be really it would be difficult for me to sit down and watch all of season 8 again.
I feel that.
As big of a fan I am of this show, I could not watch season
I
8
feel
all the
that.
way through again. There were just so many episodes that they could have compressed All Out War into 8 episodes.
Oh, absolutely.
But instead, they stretched it out into 16 when it was only 10 issues of comic.
Mm-hmm.
They really stretched
there
it
was
out.
no reason for it to be that drawn out.
Yeah. They
So.
they should have done that in the first half of season 8, and then the second half of season 8 been the whole lead up to Rick leaving. And then season 9 start off with the whispers and everything. But whatever, they've done an amazing job.
Yeah, season 9's been great, so.
So this episode was awesome. I mean, it was. The season 9 was awesome. And yeah, the best season yet.
So far. Yeah.
Fear the Walking Dead is going to be coming back on in June. We're not going to be doing this again for 2 weeks. Are you going to be sitting in on Game of Thrones, or is that?
Like, I want to.
I know Clockwork Calamity is going to be doing it every.
They're just on so late.
They are going to be about 90 minutes
really
a pop.
Can't freaking.
Like every single one of them's not going to
Yeah,
be
I
going
know.
off to like 10:30 or
Then
10:45.
plus a review. I really can't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're like I said, we're gonna have Clockwork here. As far as I know, I think she'll be coming by, and they will be late episodes, but we're gonna get through that. It's gonna be 6 episodes, I think, of Game
I'm
of
pretty
Thrones.
sure it's 6.
So it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
You've done just about every episode of The Walking Dead for the last several years. So.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you're not overly big on Game of
I'm
Thrones
not,
anyway.
but I'm afraid I'm gonna miss Jamie kill Cersei, and I really want to see that.
I'll just come to you one day and be like, "Hey, you need to catch this episode."
mean, you can just give me the password to the Go, and I'll just watch it on my own time. It's fine.
Yeah, that might be a good idea. So Derek says a lot of my family stopped watching after Glenn and Abe died. That turned them off the show, but I still look. I'll go ahead and be the first to say the first half of season 7 was such a down, because that was the whole point. That was the storytelling point, and it turned a lot of people off. But for Negan to really, for him and the Saviors to really establish dominance, he had to really lay it to Rick and them.
He did.
They had to make that point. They had to make the point. They had to get in there, and they just had to. Some of those lines that,
God.
whenever Negan
Yes.
made Rick say thank you,
Yeah.
and what he said at the very end, that was actually pretty dang funny. So.
Yeah. He's got some good lines.
Yeah, again, it was a really good one. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and wrap. This is it for season 9 of The Walking Dead, episode 131. Myself, Ashley, Clockwork Calamity will be doing reviews in 2 weeks.
You mean Ashley's gonna stay up that late?
She wants to watch Game of Thrones.
She's gonna go to bed.
Game of Thrones is her.
Oh, I know.
Game of
but
Thrones is
you
her
think
thing.
she's gonna stay up afterwards and do a review? That's hilarious.
She might. I don't know. But anyway, that, and you will be back. I'm going to try our best to do a game live stream next weekend.
Maybe.
Absolute.
I might have plans all weekend.
Okay. Well,
So we could probably do it Sunday.
maybe. That actually might work since we don't have a show.
Yeah.
So, and let's see, what else? The Thursday before, I think it's the 11th of April, the Thursday before Game of Thrones, is the Return of the Orville. So we'll have a couple more episodes of that. So that's absolute worst case scenario. That's when you'll be back. Hello, Kendo Vasquez. Welcome to the stream. All right, see you later, Derek. Appreciate it.
Bye.
And I'm going to be back on tomorrow. I'm going to have a neat little announcement image going live at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, and I'm going to be playing Pokemon Snap tomorrow around noon, 1 o'clock Eastern. On the channel, it's going to be our first Nintendo 64 stream since...
The last time you had a Nintendo 64?
Yeah, but it was well before Facebook.
Yeah.
Rustum, hey, welcome. And thanks everybody for coming on. We're having a couple of awesome viewers pop in right at the last minute. But this has been it. If y'all want, after we exit our live stream, go back and rewatch. Yeah. I'll be on. If y'all want to comment or whatever, I'll still be checking the chat and comments and stuff from here on out. So, anyway, thank you all, and we will
Stab that dude in the
see
eye.
you for The Walking Dead again in October.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm Lonnie.
I'm Amberlicious.
We are Untitled Nerd Network, brought to you by Infinity Flux and your local Satanist. We're going to play all out with Radio Cult Shoot the Dead. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.